Was it defensive domination or offensive struggles? Either way, it didn't matter to Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler. They had a great day today. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. So, probably not the practice you want to have right before you leave to go play a preseason game, at least from the offensive side, the first team offensive side. By all accounts, when the ones were running, the defense pretty much dominated today, and mainly the defensive line dominating the offensive line. Um, Specifically mentioned, Trevor Penning had a very bad day at right tackle. Apparently, even at one point, getting into a little scuffle with Willie Gay. Um, Udah was mentioned too. He was left guard, um, at left guard, running with the ones, and he had a bit of a struggle. Some reports saying that in teams, yeah, he was getting knocked back. Um, pretty hard by the interior guys. So all in all, not a great day. Specifically, Trevor Penning too. After I think this was after the fight with Willie Gay, um, doing some of the end of game drills they were running, situational drills they were running. He was beaten 3 times in a row for sacks by Chase Young. So I have to say, Chase Young is that dominant, but I think this all of a sudden brings some question marks back to what's happening at right tackle. Um, there was also one report that when they were running red zone drills, that he got just bulldozed by Carl Granderson on a pass rush, which not good either. And similar stuff was coming in. I don't know specifically who was kind of getting the best of Udah. They didn't mention names, but you know, probably Shepard and Rizzi, those guys inside. I would guess probably gave him his tough day. So just questions being asked: is it um, great defensive line play, or just bad offensive line play? And I'm going probably somewhere in the middle, but it's concerning. It's very very concerning. Especially, we're going to talk a little more when Da and Derek Carr both spoke to the media today, and there's some stuff in there we need to talk about. Um, Also, they said when Payton Turner was running, he ran with the tubes today, and he apparently just was bringing pressure almost every play on. I believe Rattler was running with the twos, so yeah, he was. So just about every play he was coming through and bringing some pressure on Rattler. Um, so yeah, all in all, it was a first offensive first team struggle day. Now that funny thing is, the twos and the threes apparently had a great day. Haener with the threes and Spencer Rattler with the twos. They're probably the players of the day, and they probably provided the plays of the day, almost definitely from the offensive side. Um, they did a lot of 2-minute work, and Da talked about that a little bit with the media afterwards. Um, Especially the threes. And today it was Haener's turn to run with threes. Got a lot of work in 2 minutes. He said specifically because those are the guys that are going to be on the field um, at that point in the game. So if it comes up, we want to make sure they get a large portion of the work and be ready for Saturday night if it comes to that. But they so both ran very effective 2-minute drills. Got the ball down the field, looked good doing it, threw the ball well, ran the offense well, and in who was it? Yes, Kevin Austin, Juicer, and Samson Nacua ended drives with touchdowns. I don't know which one was running with the twos and the threes, but apparently they caught one each from Haener and Rattler. Also, they did what they're calling backed up drills, which is basically when that corner kick or that red zone turnover pins you back inside the 5, practicing to get out of that. And they said possibly the play of the day on either side of the ball was from backed up inside the 5. Rattler found Kevin Austin Jr. for a plus 40-yard pass. They said it was perfectly placed and just drilled him with it. Nice play, nice pickup. And when you're inside the 5, that's the kind of play you can hang your hat on and go, "Whew, man, needed that big play right there to get out of that hole." So I didn't really do an injury report because I'm frankly getting tired of it. But the good news on that front was nobody left practice today, at least reported as of it's about 4 o'clock as I'm recording this. I haven't heard anything up to this point that somebody left practice today. Um, Pretty much same people that were out. There's more people working on the side or doing little side stuff that are still technically out. They weren't working with the team in drills or anything like that. But NDA did talk about it. That's we'll run through kind of what he mentioned in the media. But he talked about it a little bit, but still reiterated that they're not giving severities, how long they're going to be out, prognosis, or anything like that. And still sticking to look, there's a lot of this is just soft tissue, and we're being precautionary, and you know, blah 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 blah. So um, now two people weren't at practice, which was Honey Badger and Cam Jordan, but that was just scheduled maintenance days for him. Give him an extra day off before Saturday if they even play. More on that in a minute. So today was Da said they did their walkthrough before practice, which I'm assuming that's kind of the final walkthrough. And he mentioned they did a red zone walkthrough also, or goal line walkthrough rather. Just kind of that little final preparation stuff um, for the game Friday. As far as practice is concerned, I'm sure they'll probably have another one sometime tomorrow or Saturday morning. But it was mostly situational work again today. They're finally just a little detailed stuff on situational, like the backup situation, like we were talking earlier, where Rattler had the beautiful throw to Kevin Austin Jr. So backed up in your own side the field, inside the 5 or the 10 or whatever. They did a lot of third and goal work in red zone, and also what we mentioned earlier, a lot of 2 minute into game drill, which that was primarily the one that it seems like Carr and the first team offense just didn't have a good day. Because I saw one account said even in the few times when they had time to throw the ball in that, it still didn't look good, and there was seemed to be a little frustration on the offensive side. But um, they had been winning a lot the last few days. Just maybe they had a bad day, and the defense was finally tired of it and took advantage. I don't know. Um, Da did say too, and when Carr talked to the media, he kind of reiterated this. They're not watching film or anything like that, but it's pretty much there's not going to be much in game planning and offense and defense Saturday. Just kind of running the base vanilla stuff. Da said it's just kind of more about getting guys out there ready to play and um, get them to knock the rust off a little bit, kind of get them back in the game flow and all. So don't know if you'll see any of that kind of stuff in preseason, especially with only 3 preseason games. We'll find out, but they both definitely acknowledge you're not going to see anything um, other than basic vanilla stuff come Saturday night. Um, so, and he still won't talk. He said, "Well, I still haven't talked to the team about it, and the coaches haven't met yet about who's going to play, who's not going to play, how many snaps they're going to get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And since tomorrow's a travel day and Saturday's game day, um, there's not really going to be a chance to talk to the media, so we probably just won't know much about it till they maybe kick off Saturday. Who knows? Um, I asked a little bit about the Pete Werner extension, but that's yeah, he's kind of like we all breaking news to me because I knew they were working on it, but I didn't know it actually happened because apparently it broke while they were practicing. But he didn't really have much to say on that because that's not really his bag. That's more Mickey in the front office dealing with stuff like that. He did say they had a very good visit with Justin Simmons, coaches, um, and some of the players too. Met with him yesterday, and I think they all had dinner last night. And Simmons may have left early this morning, so no contract, nothing like that. But just, I guess they wined him and dined him a little bit. We'll see how that pans out. But I like I said yesterday, if the money's right, I think it's worth the deal. But if it's too much, I don't think you can go there. And obviously, they didn't leave with a handshake agreement or anything. So who knows how that's going to turn out. He did talk about the backup quarterback battle, which is really gaining some heat, I think, lately. We've talked about it a little bit here, how it's kind of gaining some traction all of a sudden. And apparently, thank God they both had good days today. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had anything to talk about on the top players for the offense. But apparently, we're on Thursday, a couple practices into the week, getting ready for the games Saturday, and it sounds like those two guys have just really, when they've been on the field, they played well. Um, Derek Carr talked about him a little bit too in his time with the media and talking about how I mean he said, look, I think they're both great players. They can do a lot of good stuff. So um kind of excited to see, assuming they're probably both going to play most of Saturday, just kind of seeing how they look. Um Kind of along with DA, reiterate it when I said a while back when we were talking about the quarterback battle. I said, the first thing you got to see him is get him out the huddle, get him up to the line of scrimmage, pre snap everything correct, snap the ball, receive the snap, run the play, progressions, all that stuff, make a throw if it's a pass attempt. It's kind of what Da said. Um, we need to see all that. He basically summed it up as kind of, we need to see if they can both operate the offense. Yeah. Can they do everything from calling the play in the huddle all the way through to when they throw the ball or they hand it off? And even after the play, in some cases, do they have a play fake or something they have to run out of? But he said the big thing is, what he wants to see. And I didn't think about this, but I was like, oh yeah, we do want to see this. But he says he wants to see how they respond when things go sideways in the game. He says, look, when everything's going perfect, it it tells you some stuff, but it basically doesn't tell you everything. But when things start going wrong and seeing how they respond and react, and can they make plays? Can they lead the team out of a suddenly bad situation when something breaks down? Wants to see a little bit of that too. And I was like, I'd never really thought of that in preseason. I guess, yeah, that's a time to kind of, because that's very likely to happen, especially Saturday with everybody brand new to this new offensive scheme. There's probably going to be some times when it goes sideways, and yeah, it would definitely be good to see how Haener and Rattler react when it does go sideways. Can they get us out of it? Can they do something? A lot of times that gets thrust upon the quarterback to handle it. So, very good point by Da, and that's actually, um, I'm glad he mentioned it because I wouldn't have thought of it. But yeah, I want to kind of zero in on Saturday night while I'm watching. How are they reacting when something goes horrible? Interesting question that he got asked, and something I didn't realize till they asked him. Because he was asked the 6 wide receivers for Saturday, is that enough wide receivers to walk in the preseason game? And he said, well, it's going to have to be, which kind of tells me all the receivers that are out right now ain't coming back and playing Saturday, because I went out and looked at it. And as far as I can tell, the only 6 receivers they're going to have in this game is Olave, Perry, Austin Jr., Callaway, Wilson Jr., and Nacua. So that's 6 guys got to split up 4 quarters there, whatever goes on in Arizona. Now he did mention, Da said this may change a little the personnel groupings we're may use. I'm thinking right off the top of my head, you may see more fullback, more 2 tight ends, that sort of thing, especially 2 tight ends, because it looks like there's a Holker and Jacobson are starting to kind of fight it out for that third tight end spot. And I don't know if they're going to take 4. So it could be interesting. And I'd like to see both of them on the field also, at the same time, see what they can do. It looks like they both played well in the passing game with Haener and Rattler, and kind of see how they work together and how they respond in the running game, because I think we're going to see a lot of the running game. And Trevor Penning, kind of going to leave it on this one. Just real basic. I think he was trying to be as kind and supportive as possible for what turned out from what, you know, the media who was covering saw. Just a very bad day for Trevor Penning. I think he was trying not to beat him up too much, because he basically said, "Look, yeah, he needs a lot of still needs a lot of improvement in the passing game, and I'm thinking, yeah, I just read where you gave up 3 sacks in a row to Chase Young. Yeah, we need some improvement right there pretty much immediately. Um, it said he has done okay in the running game, and I keep hearing that from those in attendance and when he was last week when he had a couple strung together a couple good practices, and that's when they were working a lot on the running game at the time, and was getting some mentions. Yeah, man, he looks good in that tackle spot for when they're running the ball. But Da kind of ended it after trying to be positive, I guess, in a way. Um, but he ended it when he said, "Look, I'm not ready to sign off on him yet." So, yeah, saying, "Look, it's not a done deal where he's going to be the guy starting at right tackle. He is right now to lose probably, or somebody to take it from him." And I think that might be the issue. They just don't have anybody that can take it from him at this point. Um, I haven't heard boo about the two. Udah, in fact, has been moving around and playing some left guard. Landon Young, is he last I saw, he was still backing up Fuaga on the left side. I don't even know who really that right tackle spot behind Penning would be. I don't know if it would be a complete reshuffle going on, what's going to happen, but I think Penning's on some shaky ground here. At best, it's a roller coaster ride where he has just really upswings where he's really good and downswings where he's really not. But either way, getting to be a little concerning. We'll see Saturday night, and I'm hoping maybe it was just a bad day for him. Hoping that's what it was, and we see some positive progress on Saturday night. And wrap it up. They let Carr grab the microphone or the podium a little bit today, and I actually had a couple interesting stuff. Watched the whole thing, and I seeing he's another one. I'm seeing just a little different vibe, a little in his own way. Just kind of um, he starts talking. I kind of see him getting excited. So I think there's just a lot of buy-in throughout this team. I hope it's for real, and I hope we can take advantage of it this year. Um, but he's talking about, hey, I want to play Saturday, and I don't kind of got the impression he's like, I don't want to play much, but he brought up the point. He says, I want to hear Clint, call the plays and work on getting our subs in and out. Probably a little different packages, kind of that stuff to kind of get in the flow of the game, get used to hearing it and all. So I kind of get that. I don't think he necessarily wants to roll out there and have 4 or 5 drives or 40 snaps or anything of that nature. But I think it's kind of the way he was talking about it, just a little bit. I want to knock a little rust off. I want to, that's a new coach calling plays. I got to hear in the huddle, kind of get used to the way he's going to do it, and kind of chance for us to kind of get, just the rust off, the cobwebs off about, hey, when we've got to change personnels or, go from a second to a third down, what's going to change, stuff like that. But he reiterated base offense. We're not watching film. We're not game planning. So you're not going to see anything extraordinary out there. He was asked one of the other things about getting more yak. In the offense because that's been a point of emphasis and he's they said how would it affect you and he's like man it's a mindset. um he said it's I'm watching those guys that they're growing into this, and he said and it's all along the position. That they're not satisfied with just catching the ball. The expectation is to make a catch and then explode downfield and make a huge play out of it. Get down there, make somebody miss, and then, lack of a better word, haul butt and get to the end zone. So it's kind of what he's describing. I think that's Heath Williams, a wide receiver coach, a point of emphasis from day one. I think he more than coaches and preaches it. I think he lives it. I think he'd catch you could throw him a ball tomorrow and he'd run through a wall to gain extra yards after the catch. And I think he's instilling that into that receiving core. And, Carr's like saying, yeah, yeah, it helps me out a lot when guys are out there in space with it in the defense having to defend, knowing they give too much space. Any one of these guys can grab a pass, whether it's short or long or whatever, but they can touch the ball. And at the blink of an eye, they're going and you're not catching them. And it's a touchdown. And he said, yes, that takes stress off the offense and pours it, you know, transfers it to the defense. Um, they asked him in lieu of what happened today. They said, "Well, are you impressed with the Saints pass rush?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm impressed with the Saints pass rush." But he said one of the things he brought up um, about that, he says, "Look, they've got great pass rushers both on the outside and the inside." He said, "But the thing is they're versatile. That they have guys that can um, go from the outside to the inside, or guys that are playing the inside and give like an outside move in the inside." To beat an interior lineman. But he's like the versatility creates just massive protection issues. And he said the more versatile a defensive line can be, like the Saints are showing, showing this offseason so far. He's like, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem with the protection. So he said it's impressive right now just because they can do so much with all their personnel. So hopefully that's the reason and not just bad offensive line play. But okay, it is what it is, I guess. Um, and then they asked him what he loved about this offense. And they kind of had a long conversation with him about, I don't think it was said jokingly, but it was kind of taken jokingly and almost made a joke about how many different offenses uh, he's had to run over his NFL career. And he said, Uh, I think they thought it was 6. They asked him if it was 6, and he says, "I don't know. I'd have to count, but I'm not gonna count count because that would just be a great sound bite for everybody to play." He said, "But it's 7, maybe 8 different offenses." And he said there's, like, obviously in the West Coast, offense with Gruden, when he had his best seasons, he says, "I still remember a bunch of that stuff, and it's not unlike some of the stuff we're running now." So, some of this is basically old hat to him more or less. But but about this current version of the offense, he's just talking about he loves the running game, that component that they have in this. So he can get to play action because he's always been kind of a play action guy to work off of that. At the end of last year, when Pete finally stuck in enough play action into the offense, Carr played better. Um, he said he likes the way Kubiak kind of calls the offense, calls the plays, schemes everything up. So I'm hoping that means he's kind of taking a peek on how Kubiak's going to call plays where using plays to set up plays down the road, like Sean was a master at. Pete struggled to do at times, most of the time. Kind of getting that back into the system, going, I'm calling this, because I know somewhere down the line I have this play that we're going to get to, and it's going to work because we've set it up to work. And he talked about how that's one of the things in this offense that when it's running right and they've got everything flowing, he said the first 4 or 5 steps of everybody kind of looks the same, and the defense cannot diagnose what's going on. They're waiting. He makes it sound like they have to wait till about step number 6, and this is what's going on. And by that time, it's too late, especially when you have a bunch of explosive playmakers you can get the ball to who now have the ball. So, and watching video of Frisco or especially Miami last year, the way they do stuff similar in this offense. Yeah, you can see it. You can definitely see how that kind of works. So kind of instill it in there. But he said one of the things he loves most of all is that this offensive coaching staff they're assembled, they're all kind of products of this scheme, this system going all the way back to Kubiak and Shanahan Sr. years ago, and some of them. Some of them are kind of the newer breed. And in between, they've all worked. Their trees cross each other and intersect each other so much. It's one big giant forest. But he said they all teach and talk the same things the same way. And when asked a little further, they kind of went to the conversation with him. But basically what he's saying is They know the system so well and the way it's designed to be coached, and they know how to coach it. It just presents it in a way that that's what he means. But they're all teaching. Um, there's no narrow. I mean, wandering off the path in this. That everything has a path that it's supposed to run down in the system, and once you get it down, and everybody gets it down, that's the way everything works. And so everybody kind of has to work in the same direction, the same way, speak with the same voice, so to speak. Um, so the when they're being coached, he says, it doesn't matter who the coach is in this, is when something happens, it's not right. He said more than it's a recognition thing where most of the coaches know it's not right because I do something wrong, it affects them because they're expecting this to happen, but because I did it wrong, something else happens that they're not prepared. Their coach realizes too, no, you did it wrong because you didn't get the ball to where my guy could catch it, or you didn't put it in the right spot, or you didn't take the right first step, whatever it is. And that's what this whole system is based on. And it's literally a series of steps to go all the way down. And you follow the steps, this offense will succeed. And he's not the first one to talk about it and say this, but as a quarterback, he's definitely sounds like he's buying in, going, if we can get all the steps right, that this offense can be really, really dangerous. So I don't know how we stand on all this as far as Saturday night. Don't know really what to expect. The only real reason I'm kind of pumped about Saturday night, I tried to watch the Hall of Fame game last week to see the new dynamic kickoff, which wasn't a damn thing dynamic about it whatsoever. Actually, kind of boring, but we'll see how that plays out. But I do want to see, since Darren Rizzi, one of the guys that helped put this thing together, to see if he's got anything that's going to go on that we're going to go, huh? That was kind of awesome. That was kind of dynamic. Have to wait and see. So, uh, till then, it's just kind of at this point a wait and see. Let's see what happens Saturday. Said we'll probably talk about it Sunday. I'll probably have the wrap up show on Sunday, Sunday night coming out, maybe Monday. Um, as far as post game show, my guy Jason and I finally gotten together, kind of got the schedule hammered out. When they go to Frisco next Sunday, it's a 7 p.m. kickoff, Central Time, our time. So about 10ish, we will be live post game wrap up, and that's going to start the Let's Talk Saints post game show, which will probably have a different name by that point. We still hadn't worked that out yet, but I'll remind you of it every week. I'll post it in the comments to remind people that the J Dog and I will be live next Sunday. So till then, till we see you next time, I'm Tim. Peace out. Who dat?